Hey everybody, it's me, and I'm here to go over our Great Artist lesson for next month. In fact, it's our first Great Artist lesson of the year. So I am going to kind of give you an overview of the lesson using the presentation that we have, and then I'll talk a little bit about the project itself. This year, our first and second graders are going to be learning about elements of design, which is basically a fancy way of saying what are things that make pictures pretty. So they're going to learn about those elements that make a picture pretty. Now, our first graders, if you're a first grader class, my suggestion to you is to tell them a little bit about what the Great Artist Program is and get them all excited. That way they can look forward to next month and the next month, and letting them know that there are 5 lessons throughout the year and that there is a fabulous art show at the end of the year for them to show off their favorite piece. So we talk about what an element of a design is, and specifically that we'll be focusing on color. And so we ask the kids, when this lesson, we really do kind of ask a lot of questions of the kids because we want to pull from what they've already know and what they don't know and let them see that they kind of already know a little bit about art. So a lot of this is just us having a Q&A with the kids. So the first thing we do is we talk about color, and we have a discussion about how they think artists use color. What does it do? What kind of color, how colors make people feel. So that's our launching pad for this particular slide right here. So this one's pretty straightforward. We just ask the kids to tell us what a primary color is. Most kids have already discovered what a primary color is. They learn this in kindergarten and sometimes in preschool, so it's a pretty easy discussion to have. But for those who don't understand, it's just kind of letting them and giving them a foreshadowing of things to come, because primary colors, they can be mixed together to make secondary colors. Coincidentally, that might be what our next slide is about. So very simple discussion, what is a primary color? Next, we ask them, what is a secondary color? It's just a fun way to, again, tap into what they already know. So we ask them what secondary colors are and how they are made, so they can use their mixology in their head and tell you what they already know. All right, so here's where we get to where we can tie what they're learning to later on what they're going to be doing in their art project. We ask them what is considered a cool color. We're looking at the color wheel, and we want to say to them, which of these colors would be considered, or which side of the wheel would be considered the cool side of the wheel, which one would be considered the warm side of the wheel? Why is it that those colors are considered cool colors? And why is it that those colors are considered warm colors? What things in nature do you see that have these colors that would be considered cool? And what things in nature or in life do you see in life that would be considered warm with these particular colors? So it's just, again, trying to align what it is that they know or what they think, and later on that will tie to the art project that they do. Here we touch on complementary colors. It's not that they're going to use them in their art project, but it's just kind of to complete the discussion about the color wheel and how each color, across from each color, is their complementary color, how they go together. They don't match, but they go together. So it's just a small discussion explaining what that is and how those colors work. So we round out the lesson portion before we get into the project by having them look at a few pieces of art that we have hung up in the front of the room. And we just ask them to take a look at them and use their art eye and tell us what they see. Tell us what they see and how the colors that are used in the different pieces of artwork make them feel. And it's kind of tying it to the art project that they'll be doing, because they're going to be using cool and warm colors, and we want them to tap into how colors make them feel. So we have that discussion, and then we transition from the lesson into the project and talk it. And the transition is very clear. We've done enough talking. Now we're going to start to play and use colors and create emotions and ideas with their art. All right, it's project time. Now, there's some prep to be done with this particular project. So you need to come early. You need to get it all set up. And you're going to need to fill up some rinsing cups for their brushes. You're going to need to fill a palette of color for them. Now, when it comes to this palette of color, there are these plastic palettes that have these little wells in them. Typically, when it comes to using paint, we'll use a paper plate that we can throw away later. But what happens a lot of those times when we use a paper plate palette, they start mixing colors together. With this particular art project, we want them to keep those colors separated because it's all about laying those colors side by side with each other and not mixing those colors, because they're going to be creating this moon project, sun moon project, that is very distinct on having the warm colors on one side and the cool colors on the other side. So we use this plastic palette, we fill those wells up with the colors, the warm colors on one side and the cool colors on the other side. And it just kind of helps them not to mix those colors together, and also gives them a visual of warm versus cool colors. So we want to explain this project to them completely before you pass anything out. Trust me, first and second graders cannot stop themselves from touching brushes and paint and paper. So you want to have it all set up ahead of time in the back of the room. And then after you've explained what it is they're going to do, you're going to pass out all those magical art supplies. But first, we explain to them what we're doing. We're explaining that we're creating a very visually distinctive picture that shows warm and cool colors. And what better than the moon and the sun, right? So we give them a template that has a circle drawn on it. And because circles are really hard, you have no idea, but circles are very hard. So we give them a pre-drawn circle palette or paper template, and then we have them complete the drawing in their own way. We walk them through each one of these steps that you see on the slide here, having them do each one. Now you can do this with them. Some people like to do it with them as they're doing it, and some people explain it first and then just kind of walk around the room helping them as they go. It's up to you how you want to handle that. But we give them this, we give them all the steps of what they're going to do to draw this first. Now, the drawing portion of the project only takes 15 minutes. It should only take 15 minutes. So you want to be mindful of the clock. So they take 15 minutes with a black marker to draw their sun and their moon. After they've done that, they spend 15 minutes painting the cool side. And then they spend 15 minutes painting the warm side. And you want to walk around the room and encourage creativity, but you also want to make sure that they're not mixing those colors together and splashing stuff around, and be encouraging with them. Again, if they make a mistake, mistakes are not mistakes. They're just an opportunity to do something different. So we'll walk around the room. We will make sure that they're painting their warm side warm and their cool side cool. And it's okay if they get a couple of brushes. They may want a thin brush and a thick brush. They may want different brushes to do their warm side and different brushes to do their cool side, whatever works for them. But the point is to let them have the fun drawing it and painting it and creating that warm and cool story. And that is our project for this lesson. The first one. Hopefully they love it and they love seeing that warm and that cool side and having a little whimsical fun. If you have any questions, by all means, give me a call. And hopefully you have a great time and they enjoy the project. Thank you so much and happy creating.